Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video I will show you how to debug the script component in SSIS. So we have a customer.txt text file with us. We will count the number of records in this particular table and then we will insert this information into a SQL Server table. So we will be going to create a file info table ID within identity column, file path column that will store the path of the file, and then there will be a file name column which will be just the file name without the path, and then the record count in the flat file and the date information at what time the SSIS package ran. So let's create this particular table. So the table has been created and right now it doesn't have any data in it, so we will write the SSIS package to insert the information into this particular table. Okay, so first of all go to the SSIS toolbox and just drag and drop the script task into the control flow window. So we need to store the path of this particular file, and then we need to store the name of this particular file, and then need to store the number of records of this particular file in an SSIS variable. So just open the SSIS variable window and first of all create a SSIS variable file path which will store the path of the file, and the path of the file is C files customer.txt. so this is the path of the file, and file name will be calculated by the script components. So we want to assign the file name, and similarly record count will be assigned by the script component itself. So we want to assign the record count as well. So we have just given the file path value, and then we will assign the value of these two variables by ourselves. So just edit the script task, and under the read only variables we will be using the file path, as we are going to read the path of the file from it. And then under the read write variables, as we are going to assign the values to the file name and then record count, so we will be using these two variables inside the read write variable. Okay, so just copy these two, click on edit script to write the script for this particular thing. So the script task has been opened, and as we are going to deal with the file system, so we need to give the reference of system.io assembly. Okay, and then copy the name of the SSIS variables here, file name, record count, and another one is file path. Okay, so let's define the file path variable here, string file path. It will be, so let's read the value from the SSIS variable, which is file path dot value dot toString. Okay, and now let's define a local variable file name here, which will contain the name of the file. Okay, and it will be path dot get file name and file path. Okay, so this particular code will create a new file name variable, then it will get the value from the file path. Okay, now let's declare a value int record count is equal to 0 using var reader is equal to file dot open text, and it will have the value of file path. Okay, and then inside it let's create a while loop, while reader dot read line is not equal to null, record count is equal to record count plus 1. Okay, so this particular code will actually read all lines from the flat file, and then it will record the count of each of the line. Okay, so the record count variable will have the number of records in a flat file. Okay, so now we have got the file name with us, and then we have got the record count with us. So now let's assign these values to the SSIS variables. Those currently doesn't have those values. For example, SSIS variable file name doesn't have any value, it's blank. So let's assign the value to the SSIS variable file name. Okay, it will be file name. Okay, because file name has the actual name of the file without the file path. And then we have another SSIS variable record count, which is right now 0 in the SSIS variable, but the local variable record count does have the actual values. So let's assign the values these two variables. Okay, so we have assigned the values to these two variables, file name and record count. So let's put a breakpoint here so that we can actually see that the values are getting assigned to the SSIS variables. Okay, and then after that we can log these values to the SQL Server table. Okay, so the debugging window has been opened, and to move forward, either we can press the F10 key on our keyboard, or you can just click on the step over, so it's equivalent to F10. So when we run it, so our local file path variable has the actual value from the SSIS variable C files customer, and if we go further, then our local SSIS variable have the exact customer.txt, the file name with us, and the record count is right now 0. But if we further go ahead, so it has the record count 1, and then in second run it will have the record count 2. So it has around 7 records, so it should have the record count 7 after the execution of this loop. Okay, so it should have 7 records, and then this particular code has assigned the value file name to the SSIS variable, and the another one, now this has assigned the value 7 to the SSIS variable. Okay, so this this was how we debug the script task in the SSIS package. Now let's write this data to a SQL Server table that we just created in our very first step. So first of all, let's remove the breakpoint from the script task, and then after removing the breakpoint, we will insert that data, insert data from file name and record count to a SQL Server table using the execute SQL task. So we have just removed the breakpoint from here. Let's drag and drop an execute SQL task, and we can rename it like get file name and record count. Okay, and then we can connect to it, and then maybe we can name it as write data to SQL Server table. Okay, and then right click and edit the execute SQL task, and then make a connection to the testing database. So the connection was already there, so just write an insert query here. So as we are going to read data from a SQL from an SSIS variable, so you need to write the query in under the expressions, because we can't read it inside the direct input. So just choose the SQL statement source and go to the expressions. So we can write our query like this: insert into file info values. The first column is ID, which is an identity type, so we don't need to provide any value to that. And then another column is file path. So first of all, just put a single quotes and then double quotes, and under the under these double quotes we need to put the value of the file path, and then single quote. So we have provided the value for the file path. Now we need to provide the value for the file name. So just drag and drop file name here, and in the third option we need to provide the value of the record count. So for record count, just drag and drop the record count here from here, and record count is an integer value, so we need to convert it to a string value. Okay, because inside the expressions we need to convert all SSIS variable into a string type, because expression is a language that that requires the string. So like before parsing any value, it needs to be converted to an string. Last column was the dated, so we will provide the value of get date, so that the current date will get inserted into the SQL Server table. So okay, close the query here. So now click on the evaluate expression. So this particular query now should insert a record into file info table with the file path, file name, record count, and the current date timestamp, and then click OK. Okay, so our SSIS package is now complete. And if you right now file info doesn't have any record in it, so if you execute the SSIS package, so it will first assign a value to the file name SSIS variable, and then it will assign a value to the record count SSIS variable, and in the next step it will insert a record into the file info table, okay, with the latest values with file path, file name, record count. Okay, if you execute the SSIS package, so okay, so this should have read the data from the flat file, and this should have written the data to a SQL Server table. So let's verify it at the SQL Server. So if you execute the SSIS package, so it read the data from the file path, and the name of the file was customer.txt, and the number of records in the file were 7, and the package got executed at at this time. So you can also just open the file, and you can also verify that the file has 7 records. Okay, so thanks guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button and do subscribe to our channel to see more videos on SSIS. Thank you.